Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Mid-Tier Thoughts. It's that time of year where it's beautiful outside. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. It's just right to get out there, hit the range, and get some practice and training in. A lot of us, while we should be training year-round, we have complications, bad weather, bad road conditions, whatever, and we find it easy to justify reasons why not to go to the range. So this time of year, once it's nice out, we do get out there, we do start hitting the range, we start seeing that all these new companies are releasing all these new firearms, and it can be really easy to decide to dump some mad money into a new gun setup and fill whatever niche role you want. You need that new sub gun tricked out to run a sub gun under night vision. You want that new 300 blackout. You need a new hunting rifle. Whatever it is, it's easy to justify, especially this time of year when you're out there using them more often. That a lot of times we could overlook some of the smaller things that are just as important in our preparedness plan or in our kit that we really don't think about, just because they're either small niches to fill, or we always think, I'll fill that up later. I'm going to focus on big things right now. So with that, I've got 5 different categories of things that you should look to buy before you buy your next gun, as I think it'll help you in the long run. Now, that being said, this video makes a couple assumptions. That first assumption is that you already have a basic amount of gear when you're applying to this list. So we're talking that you already have a decent rifle, an EDC, and preferably a light amount of gear, whether it be a plate carrier or a battle belt or a chest rig. The idea being that you have the basic amount of equipment at a minimum to kind of start as a Minuteman, and that this is apply instead of going out and buying another gun to have 2 rifles now for whatever, that are there other parts of your gear that you might need? I think they are.
The number one thing that helps me put out videos is Dockio, our sponsor for today. Dockio is an awesome platform I've been using for the last couple of weeks. So what this thing does is it basically compiles all of your different files from all the different places in your computer, whether it be Google, OneDrive, Gmail, you name it. Compiles all of these things together into one easy place to find, basically making a searchable database for all of your files, no matter where they're stored. Now, the cool thing is it respects your permissions and your privacy on there, so it only allows you to see what you want it to see. The cool thing is it uses smart AI to be able to recognize what your documents are and sort them into applicable categories. It's not just smart enough to differentiate between these are my videos, these are my photos, these are my overlays for videos and such, but it even goes into things like PDFs and being able to tell if it's a resume, a bill, a job application, whatever, and it can sort it all into the applicable categories. You can set your own categories or let it choose for you. It's a really awesome app that I think you should try today. If you are anywhere in college, a professional workforce, or another YouTuber like me, this can help you immensely be able to go through all the scattered files that you have and put them all together into one easy spot. This is the tool for you. It helps you find all of these things and organize them. So stop wasting unnecessary time trying to dig through all your files or having to redo work that you know you did. Try Dockio today. Try Dockio/mid-tier thoughts, link in description, and type in keyword mid-tier thoughts whenever you do to get your free first month and try this out. Trust me, your future self will thank you for how organized you're gonna be.
The number one on our list is going to be a good pack. In today's market, there's tons of options out there, both in the civilian, the military surplus, and every different realm, from the hiking gear and everywhere else, that you can go out and get really solid, decent packs. Depending on what your needs are, you're going to look at different sizes, different sets. Does it have a frame? Does it not? It's all going to depend upon your personal needs, but none of your gear that you have matters if you don't have a good, solid way that's comfortable to carry all of that gear. Because if it's uncomfortable, you're not going to train with it. You're not going to practice with it. And when it comes time to carry that actual weight in a scenario that your life depends on it, it's not going to be a good time. So let's look at 3 different packs of 3 different varying types and show you what kind of options you have out there. So first off, you have the Alice pack. These have always been pretty affordable surplus. They are getting a little bit spendier now, especially if you have a specific ones that you're looking for. But these can hold a lot of gear. So these have a metal frame on the back here, which is very nice. So this metal frame has these nice thick padded straps that come with it. Now, I will say the straps that come with it are okay, but you can definitely mod these out and get much better straps that are out there and much better systems for this. There are some modification systems out there. There are some modernization kits that are out there. But the Alice pack has been around forever, since at least Vietnam, if not a little before. This thing is pretty awesome. It's the frame can help you carry a lot of extra gear. Like I said, they're very easily moddable, and they've been around forever. You can usually pick these up at a surplus store for really pretty not that much. That being said, they have gone up in price over the years, but you can check out tons of different videos on YouTube on how to mod these, how to pack these. Some of the features with this that are kind of nice is that you do have on the sides areas of webbing where you can attach shovels and other pieces of kit with Alice clips, as well as you have these big pockets for sustainment. You have 1, 2, 3 sustainment pouches. I know it's kind of hard to see at this angle, but these pouches are pretty big. You can get a lot of stuff in here, as well as up top, this one being an Alice Large, you have these pouches here. These 3 pouches are for magazines, or you can fit other kit in there. I've seen people do other kit like that. I like keeping magazines in there when I have this loaded up. This one's not really loaded up right now, but then you've also got a huge spot inside. This expands. I mean, you can get a lot of crap in here. This thing is just huge, right? You can strap this down. You can pack it up. You can strap canteens to it. You can strap ammo to it. You can do a lot of different things with a rugged Alice pack that makes a really good option for carrying stuff and fairly inexpensive. Military surplus tends to hold its weight when it comes to these packs. This next one I've already done a video on before. It's Minuteman Patrol Pack, and I have, again, a link to that video up here. So this one is one that's held up really well. So this one is the Marine Corps issue. I believe it's the Assault Pack. I was issued this when I was in the Navy and the expeditionary units I was in. So with this, you do have a big pocket up front, lots of molly, a smaller pocket up here. You do have a lot of space in this bag. You do not have, however, a frame. You have basically kind of a padded cushion in here that's pretty rugged, but you can fit metal frames with these. They are made to attach to those. You can also wear this pretty well as a bag. You can attach ammunition pouches onto the side, which is generally what I do for extra ammo. I'll usually attach a canteen on the other side. This one, it's kind of in the process of getting unpacked and repacked and doing some different stuff with it. But in the summertime, this one usually works really well for me. I don't carry as much stuff as I do in the winter. I don't need as much stuff as I do in the winter. Being a lot colder up here in North Idaho in the winter than it is in the summertime, I can get away with having a lot less in here. This one, again, I have a video on, so I won't talk too much about that. If you want to see more about this, you can go to the video again up here. But this one is a little more modern, a lot more modern than an Alice pack. It is part of a larger system that the Marine Corps and Navy issues with larger packs as well, but this one has served me really well. I was able to carry a ton of stuff in here. These things expand a great distance. You can cinch this down, make it nice and small. You can add other molly pouches onto the side to increase the amount of stuff you're carrying. I have a few other pouches that I'll mix and match with these to either carry more ammo, more water, other gear. So this is another great option as well. So these last two were military surplus related, very overt, not very gray man or anything like that, but they do work really well, and that's what they were designed for. And as a Minuteman, those are great options that are fairly affordable. Now, on the other side of things, we can look to the hiking world for a lot of really good options. So this here is my Kelty backpack. And forgive me, I am not familiar with model numbers or anything like that. So this is just a good Kelty hiking backpack. So with this guy, you've got one pocket here, big pocket in here with separators and other pockets. You've got your kind of stretchy elastic pockets out on the side. You've got compartmentalization inside the interior pockets. You also have right here, these little slots. These things go all the way down to about here where my hand's at, about where that gray ends, these deep pockets. You can fit like Nalgene style water bottles in there, like those big metal ones that everyone has. You can carry those. You can put tools. I've carried tripod in there before. I've carried different tools, axes, things like that in those pockets. You've got good little side pockets here as well that you could fit more goodies into. And you can actually fit, I've actually tested it out with the Alice pack. I can fit just as much stuff in the Alice pack in here as I just pack it differently. You also have a really nice frame here on the pack that keeps it really nice and rigid with this nice belt as well that wraps around your waist. Again, depending on the amount of weight that you're carrying, that is optional. You don't have to have the belt, but the belt is nice, kind of helps take some of the weight off of your shoulders and put it more on your hips. So a Kelty backpack, something like this, like a nice, decent hiking backpack, something like that. It's a little bit more low profile, doesn't stand out as much, especially depending on the area you're at. Where I am in North Idaho, if you have a hiking backpack, that's just normal. Like no one's going to look weird at you if you're out doing stuff like that in the woods. So especially training with to get some weight on you, anything like that. Now, the one thing I will say as a consideration as well for your pack is see how it integrates with the rest of your gear. So with the Alice pack, with the Marine Corps pack, I was showing both of those when I wear a battle belt. They sit high enough that I don't really see them interfering, and I don't have them interfering with anything on my kit. Whenever I'm wearing a plate carrier, the Alice pack can be kind of a pain to wear with plates. The Marine Corps one, I've definitely done with plates for a long time, both in the military and off. That one works really well. The Kelty backpack, whenever it is very long backpack. I'll bring this back up. So this is a longer backpack as far as height goes. This, whenever I wear it, the issue is if I wear a battle belt, if I wear a chest rig, it's not a problem. But if I do wear a battle belt for anything, or I wear any kind of jungle rig or anything that's more of a belt setup, this will basically sit on where my butt pack is that I'll carry. And the problem is it sits a little too high then. And so if I have to go to the prone, I can't get my head up whenever I'm lying down to look up. I can't move my head high enough because this will kind of rise up from my shoulders up to above my head whenever it's riding. So standing, kneeling, not a problem. But if I got to get down to the prone, it does kind of become a problem, especially if you're wearing a helmet or any type of headgear. So that can be a consideration to consider with that. Again, the right tool for the right job. So test out your kit, test out your gear, but get yourself a good solid pack to be able to carry all of your gear in. Number two on the list is going to be optics and observational tools. So what do I mean by this? I mean things that are not a scope or a red dot. I mean things like binoculars, thermals, night vision, rangefinders, things that you can use to make observations and that are optics that you can have with you that are not necessarily dependent on having a firearm with you. So for example, a good pair of binoculars. This is a inexpensive pair I picked up at Cabela's a while back. Nothing's fancy to this. It's just a simple set of binoculars. You look down, far things look close. That's how these work, right? This is a simple pair of binoculars. Anyone can go out and buy a pair of these. The nice thing about these is that you can get eyes on whatever you're looking at, try to do reconnaissance. You can do observation. You can do all kinds of different things, even if it's something as simple as, hey, did I put the holes in the paper at the 100 yards that I thought I did? If you don't have an optic or anything like that, you can look down here, simple pair of binoculars, confirm your zero, confirm your hits. So something like this is a really good option. The nice thing about these as well, sometimes when you want to look at something far away, you don't necessarily want to point your rifle at it. So this can be a really good alternative to something like that. Also, get yourself something like potentially a thermal. So this is a relatively inexpensive thermal. And when I say relatively inexpensive, I mean it's about $300 to $400 on average. So with something like this is a AGM TM160, I believe. It's one of their more budget-friendly models. I think this again is around between $300 to $400 right now. There could be more. I haven't checked prices super recently, but something like this is just a nice digital binocular. You're not going to use something like this mounted to a rifle. This is something that's going to be for observation use only. You can get better options for this. The same thing goes for night vision. With that, night vision like real night vision is fairly spendy to the average consumer. It usually starts around 15 to 18 for a really cheap pair, and you can get a lot higher than that. Now, the guys watching that are night vision bros, I could be wildly wrong on those prices. They could be a lot higher. Maybe you could budget your way down lower with some different stuff. I'm a novice to that. All I've done is basically used other people's night vision with that or used the military night vision. I have not myself purchased my own. So take that with a grain of salt. But as far as thermals go, now this unit even though being inexpensive, is pretty cool in the sense that, again, I have a video to this as well. If you want to go check it out, you can use this for seeing heat signatures in just about any environment. The big thing is you cannot navigate with this. I will say that this is basically a observational tool only. You're not going to be able to navigate through the woods with thermal. Tried it, doesn't work. The thing is, these reads heat signatures. So if everything's the same heat, you don't really see anything. And especially in an urban environment, if you were, say, doing a stationary outpost or some kind, or doing some kind of reconnaissance, you do have the threading on here to where you could put this onto a mount or a tripod, anything like that, and you can actually control it from your phone with an app that's connects to this, which is really cool. So you can turn the camera left or right as far as looking in here. If you wanted to, you could zoom in, things like that. You can change the different colorations of whether you want to see white on black, black on white, see it in a fusion mode, which is basically everything looks like rainbow sherbet. But you can see different heat signatures with this. And I will say the night's advantage that thermal does have over night vision is that while night vision is awesome for navigating with or trying to see with infrared lasers or things like that, which can be really awesome, especially when working as a team. If something is camouflaged, even in night vision, it can still be camouflaged and it can be really hard to see still. So with thermal, it's kind of hard to hide heat signatures. That being said, there's been a lot of advancements lately all over. You can see that all over YouTube of how to defeat thermal, but your average person, unless they know there's thermal, is probably not thinking about that. So you can use thermal to get a bead on what's out there, at least see if there is anything moving, and then further identify it as it gets closer with a thermal. So thermals are a really good option, especially if you're just doing this to hunt or to do hog hunting, anything like that. For animals, these are great. For predators, these are great. When it comes to running and gunning, I will say the frame rate on something like this is not great for movement. So this is definitely a stationary tool. Like if you were to set up an LPOP somewhere, sit tight and monitor the situation, this would be a great tool for that. Also, would be the ability to watch the screen from your phone remotely. Again, another great option where you could have this set up in a window somewhere. looking out over an area, and you could be in a different part of the house, getting an eye on what's going on. So that's a really cool option. Another great piece of kit for this in the kind of the optics category would be a good rangefinder. Now, unfortunately, I misplaced mine for my last range trip, so I got to go dig through some boxes to go find it, and I didn't find it in time for this video. But the SIG BDX option for the rangefinders, I think is really cool, or a rangefinder that at least does something similar. So the way the SIG BDX works is that not only does it act as a laser rangefinder where you can put it up to your eye, laser target, and it tells you the distance in either yards or meters, but you can program ballistic information into it based on, you can use an app to do so, or you can use the rangefinder itself. And basically what it'll do is, let's say you're shooting 62 grain 5.56. It'll have a certain setting for that as well as other calibers. And then you can laser your target and it'll say, oh, it's 600 yards. And it'll not only tell you the distance, but it will show you in MOA how much elevation you need to add to be on target with the ballistics of your cartridge. So I'm just making up numbers here, but let's say, you hit it and it's like, oh, that's 850 yards. If you want to make this 850 yard shot with your 62 grain 5.56 coming out of your 20-inch barrel, you need to come up, 10 MOA. I'm again just throwing out numbers, but it's cool to have that ability, especially if you're a novice to distance shooting. It can help you kind of learn those holds and figure out like, okay, how much do I need to come up if I'm trying to hit that target at that distance, and also help you realize the limitations of your weapon system and the caliber that you're shooting. So that's a really cool thing. It's really fun to play with and kind of gauge that. Another thing I found out as well when we were out in the woods that night with some buddies of mine who had night vision is because it is a laser rangefinder, that laser is visible under nods. So if you are concerned about somebody having nods that you may be going up against, keep that as a consideration. But another really cool thing with that we've discovered is because it is a laser module that you can actually point it at a target. Say, let's point it at a tree. That's 800 yards. Hey, everybody, can you all see that? So everyone with nods on your team can see the target that you're designating and how far away it is. So that is a really cool observational tool to keep in mind as just something to have in your pack and with your kit. Number 3, communications gear. So communications gear can be something as simple as radios. Now, these happen to be Baofengs, right? I know all the radio bros on there are going to come at me about Baofengs. That being said, Baofengs are relatively inexpensive. They're a great way to get started. When it comes to radios, I'm discovering there is a ton to learn. Okay, so a simple Baofeng, you can get the different antennas for them. You can get the larger batteries for them. You can get a ton of different stuff for them. There's the Gorilla radio manuals that are out there. There's tons of information on how to use these, and they're super simple. They're cheap and they're easy. Now, they don't have some of the advantages of some of the better radios that are out there. And I understand that even in this price point, there are some slightly better options that might be just a little bit more expensive. That being said, it is really hard to look away from the Baofeng if you're trying to outfit a group of 4 or more for the least amount of money as possible. So even in this price point, there can be other options out there. And for those guys that are more skilled in radio usage, I'm sure you've got tons of options. Please put them down in the comments below. So all you radio bros that are out there, for other options, please put them down below. I am a radio novice when it comes to this. I am trying to learn more and more, and I'm discovering that the more I learn, the less I know. So with that, this, though, is a great option as a starter if you're just trying to figure out comms with your guys, kind of get a comms plan built, something like that. No one wants to dump a bunch of bad money until they really know what they're getting. These are great for that. So comms gear like this, getting headsets that have the ability to have a microphone to be able to talk to each other, even something like the Howard Light electronic earmuffs, you can get microphones for, you can plug them into these, and you guys can run comms. So my advice, again, take this with a grain of salt, is if you already have these or if you don't really know what to get, these are a great option because they're inexpensive. You can run and learn and build a comms plan before you decide what to invest in, because there are other better options out there for radios, but this is just a starter kind of idea if you don't already have one to go out and get one. So category number 4. Magazines. You don't have enough magazines. I've said it before in a bunch of other videos. I'll say it again. Go out and buy more magazines, right? If you only have 10, go buy 10 more. If you have 20, go buy 20 more. I'm a big believer that you can never have enough magazines. Just keep buying magazines every chance you get. As someone who moved to a free state from a not free state, I used to live in Washington, and I slowly saw Washington turn more and more commie. One of the biggest things that they hit the earliest and head on was magazine bans, coming after magazines kind of saying you can't have these after a certain date, right? These became super valuable after that point. Even leading up to that, it was so hard to find magazines towards the final days right before the magazine ban because everybody and their brother was selling out of magazines. Everyone had a ton to offload, and they were trying to offload them as quick as they could. and people were frantically out spending hundreds of dollars trying to buy as many magazines as they could carry because they hadn't stocked up on magazines prior to that. So even if you do live in a free state and you don't think this applies to you, trust me, it is an investment. These are wear items. They do wear down over time, or especially if you run them hard and run them wild. Also, you can just have extra spare ones for training. You could have ones for that you don't even open. They're just still sealed in the packet, waiting for a rainy day. Or maybe you got a buddy of yours who, buys a new gun. You want to gift them a couple magazines, something like that. Like these are really good options that you can do. So go out, buy some more magazines, buy magazines for everything you got. Buy 1022 magazines, buy 556 magazines, buy Glock mags. Go out and get more magazines if you can afford it. Like again, magazine Glock mags are usually between 20 $30, depending on type, where you find them, what the local prices are. They're not expensive. You can get the Magpul ones, you get the real ones, you get ETS ones. I do prefer the real Glock mags over anything else, but there are other options out there that are more affordable. AR mags, you can go everything from like the Gen 2P mags that are on Palmetto for like $10 all the time to all the way up to some more expensive ones that can run 20, $30. They're not super crazy expensive. And again, a company like Palmetto always has like huge crazy deals like buy a red dot, get 10 mags or whatever. They're just throwing mags away. So go out, find some good mags, wait for a sale, whatever, but get more magazines. Have more magazines than you already do. I'm a big proponent. Again, you cannot have too many magazines. So that's number 4. So number 5 is going to be weapon maintenance materials. So with this, we're talking about cleaning kits and extra parts. So whatever firearm you have, I do recommend getting extra parts for it. You never know what's going to break, if something's going to go down. You never know what can happen. And it's nice to have the spare parts on hand instead of having to order a 30-cent spring online and wait a week for it to show up. Or run down to your local gun store, hope they have a tackle box full of small parts. At the gun shop I used to work at in Washington, we had a tackle box full of all the teeny tiny small parts. How many people would come in looking for a D10 spring or things like this, or gas ring, something like that, all the time. Another aspect to that too, when you have spare parts, is not only can you do expedient repairs. For example, if something messes up with your bolt or bolt carrier in the field, you can throw out the old one, slap in the new one. Granted, you might have other issues with your rifle if something like that happens, but hopefully you can just replace it and get on with your day, at least until you can get back home and fix the major problem. But another side of this as well is, again, referring my experience back to Washington. One of the things they did legislatively was they passed an assault weapons ban that made basically every semi-automatic rifle an assault weapon, said you couldn't have it, or at least that you could have it, but you couldn't hand it down. Basically, it died with you. But not only did they do that, but they banned any parts that could be utilized to assemble an assault weapon. So with that, that included uppers that you can't, because you can't put an upper on a lower anymore. But they even extended it even further to mean even small parts. So you can't get barrels, you can't get bolts, you can't get anything like that. If it can be put into an AR-15 and is AR-15 specific, you can't get it. If it can be put into an AK specific, you can't get it. You can get like muzzle devices because you can put it on a threaded 5.56 rifle that's bolt action or lever action, something like that. But you want to go out and get all the small parts to do a parts kit build for your AR-15? Can't happen. And a lot of places won't even ship into the state anymore. So that's a consideration. If you live in a state that's starting to lean that way, 1, fight for your state. But 2, go out and store up on extra parts because you never know when you're going to need them. And it might be that when you need them, you can't get them. So that's another part too to this. You store up on your small parts. Also, a good field kit, a good cleaning kit, nothing wrong with that. Now, this one is for my AR-15. This is the M16 cleaning kit, just a military surplus one. There's nothing fancy. Basically, you've got this cleaning rod. It's nothing fancy. Basically, you've got a cleaning rod, screws together. You've got a T-handle on one end that you could just pull that rod through. You've got some bore brushes and some cleaning materials, some patches, little thing of lube. It all fits in a small package quite nicely. I actually think I got this at a surplus store for like $9.95. They're super cheap. They're readily available. Usually I've seen them between 10 and $20. I don't think I've ever seen one more expensive than that. But there's simple bare bones cleaning kits. You can go out there and get some really nice ones from Otis that are either caliber specific or universal. You can get some small pocket kits. There's tons of companies out there that make really solid stuff. If you got a surplus gun or you got some weird stuff, you can find some good kits out there too. This kit is for my G3. This is a surplus G3 kit. The cool thing is it folds, or not folds, but wraps around your body real nice. You can fit this in a back pocket. You can fit this in a side pocket, leg pocket, throw it in a kit, whatever. Usually stays in the butt pack of the kit I'm running at the time. but this is a really good option. Inside here, you've got an actual little brush. You also have this guy here is your bore brush, your bore snake. You're going to tie your brushes and your other odds and ends to the end of this, run them through. And with that, you've basically got your little bore brushes on these little fish hooks that are just attached to here, run them through the barrel of your gun, at least clean out your bore. Got a little thing for lube in here. We've got an empty slot here that you can put whatever you want into. On this side, in the middle, it's kind of hard to see, but we've got takedown tools, small parts, firing pins, firing pin springs, extractors, a few small pieces, the things that are known to eat to fall apart, or your takedown pins on a G3 or an HK91, for whichever one you're more familiar with. It's got a spare one, and it's got some extra pieces. So you have a spare cleaning kit here as well. Butts up to this quite nicely and slides into your pack. Again, this I think was maybe $30 on a surplus website. There's tons of really good stuff out there that you can find and run as maintenance kit. Another thing too with that is if you need tools for your firearms, if you don't have a good multi-tool, go out and get one. This goes into the realm of weapons maintenance. Something that preferably has some pliers, maybe some screwdriver bits, some pokers, a few odds and ends. A really good multi-tool can go a long way. There are gun-specific multi-tools, cleaning tools, things like that. If you have anything that is specific to your gun as a necessary component of taking it down or doing extended maintenance, go out and get that if you don't have one already. You would be surprised how many people don't have the proper takedown tools for their platform. A lot of people out there don't. So go out and get those things. So these were 5 different categories of different things that you should look at before your next gun purchase. See if there's any holes in your kit, and just a way to make you kind of think: is there anything I'm missing that I need more than I need a new gun? We all want new guns. I get that, but are there things that you're missing in your kit that maybe you're overlooking because you just really want that new gun instead, that you might be better served spending your money on? And while I did say 5 categories, I do have a number 6, which is medical. You would be surprised how many people don't run medical in their kit or have the bare minimum of medical required, which is usually just a tourniquet. If that's you, definitely invest in some quality medical. Something like this. This is a Blue Force Gear IFAK pouch with the IFAK in it. It makes some really solid kits in there. You want things like trauma gauze, Israeli bandages, chest seals, things like this. Not quick clot anymore, but similar to things to quick clot. You want some type of hemostatic gauze. These are really good options. If you want a more extensive burn kit or medical kit, or you just want to plus up your medical, you can always go out and just get like a good emergency preparedness kit, or some of the hiker first aid kits that are out there. Just something to kind of plus up your kit. Maybe have additional band-aids and things like that for like a boo-boo kit for small things, instead of having to dig into your IFAK and pull out, actual gauze to wrap something up for just a band-aid. You can have extra medical in there as well. These are, again, just something else to think about. The whole purpose of this list was not to be a definitive, these are the only 5 things on here, but just to kind of get your brain thinking about different things that you might want instead of another gun, especially if you want to be more well-rounded. I know I'm just as guilty as everybody else that when I get my heart set, I'm like, oh man, I want that new gun. I want that new gun. And like, that's where my money's going. And it takes a lot for me to stop and think, okay, well, hold on a second. How many small things have I been putting off that I'll get that one when I need the time? It's only $20, but I don't buy it because I'm like, never mind, new gun, right? And then, like, for example, like the Springfield Kuna, I kind of want one, right? Now, if I go ahead and I buy it, I'm going to spend $1,100 on a gun. Then I got to go buy a bunch of magazines. I got to buy an optic, a light, spling, all this stuff. Next thing I know, that $1,100 purchase is now a $2,000 purchase or more. Okay, guys, so my mic died, so I'm sorry if the audio quality fails a little bit right here, but this was not a definitive list. This was just kind of my top 5 things that kind of came to my mind of things that most people kind of overlook whenever they're looking to buy another gun, instead of looking in and filling in smaller niche areas of their kit or of their supplies they need. So with that, just kind of things that make you think about that. If you have other suggestions for things you should buy before buying another firearm, I know a lot of you people are probably putting odds down in the comments. Go ahead and put those down in the comments of what your top 5 might be, or other options, no matter how long that list is, of things that you think people should be looking at to buy instead of buying another firearm, especially if they already have a decent amount of kit or they've got a decent setup with firearms. Again, that's making the assumption that you already have a basic level of gear and gun. You just want to plus up into different areas that you may be lacking in. So with that, guys, thank you so much for sticking around for this video and listening to me rant. We will catch you on the next one. Peace.